Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In this video, we are coming to look at how to develop our own custom function within Excel and use it in our workbook using the function called Lambda, the Lambda function. So the Lambda function in Excel helps us to develop our own custom functions and use it within our workbook. So we have a range here. Let's format our range as a table. So clicking within any part of the table, I'll click and hold my control and then control plus T to format my table, my range as a table. So this is a table dialog. So I have this, and then my table has headings. So and everything has been selected. So I'll just press OK. Alright, so I formatted my range as a table. So we have a table containing product ID, we have salesperson, we have sales units, price per unit, and then we also have the cost per unit. Okay, so since we have sales per unit, price per unit, and cost per unit, we can calculate our profit or loss. We can calculate if a salesperson has made a profit or loss. And we are going to use the if function. So I will type equals if, then I can select it by either double clicking on what I want, the particular function I want within the pop-up list, or I can just use my tab key on my keyboard. So I'll hit tab, and then so first of all, let's see what if function does. So this is the definition for the function. Checks whether a condition is met and returns one value if true and another value if false. Alright, so what we are coming to do is the argument for if is logical test. What is the logical? The logical test is talking about what you are trying to evaluate. So in this case, you are trying to evaluate sales price and then cost per unit to see if there is a profit or loss. Alright, so we have our sales unit here. So we know that profit is equal to revenue minus cost. So we have our sales revenue, our sales unit multiplied by the price, and that will give us our revenue. Then we subtract our cost, which is the sales unit multiplied by the cost per unit. Okay, so we want to know if this is greater than 0. If it is greater than 0, then it is profit. So if it is greater than 0, then we want to return the exact same. We want to retain the amount of profit made, and the amount of profit made is sales unit multiplied by our price per unit minus our sales unit multiplied by the cost per unit. Alright, so that is our value if true. Our value if true. Then our value if false is, we can just put it loss. So I'll close my parentheses and hit enter. So what this value means is that sales manager or salesperson A has made a profit of 1,191.7 cents, and so this means it didn't return a loss. Alright, so let's copy our formula for the other salespersons and see what we are seeing here. So I'll hit control D, and I will copy a formula. We have 3 losses here, as we can see. This is how the if function works. It helps us to evaluate a particular argument and return if the argument is true or false. Now let's see what with the let do with the let function used together with the if. So what is let? helps us to define a particular, say, equals length. So what the less does is that it assigns calculation results to names useful for storing intermediate calculations and values by defining names within a formula. These names only appear within the let function. Alright. So we have the let function. What is the name? What is function? The name of our function is profit. Profit is what we are calculating. And then comma. Then the other argument is value, name value. What is our name value? So the name is profit. The value for our profit is our sales unit multiplied by our price per unit and then minus our sales unit multiplied by the per unit. Okay. Then calculation. What calculation do you want to make? We are saying that if we are using the if function now. If the profit which we have defined within the let profit, and we can see profit here because we have assigned a value to, we have defined the profit, so it has become a custom formula within our let function. All right, so we have if profit is greater than zero, then we want to return the profit figure. Else, if false, we want to return loss. We want to return loss. So I'll close my parentheses on the if function, and then I'll close it on the let function and hit enter. So we are going to see the same result. So let me copy my formula down, Control D, and then we see the exact same result. So the good thing about the let function is that it helps us to name a particular argument within our formula, and then we also define that name as we have seen here, and then we can use it alongside others. All right, so that is it for the if and then the now the business for today. What we want to do basically is to calculate our profit, and we know that profit from our table is equal to the sales unit by multiplied by the price per unit. That will give us our total revenue. Then we'll subtract our total cost, and our total cost is going to be the sales unit multiplied by our cost per unit, and that will give us our total cost. So I'll press enter, and that is our formula. I'll come here, double click to flash fill. So that is our profit for each of the salespersons. Now let us see how we can build our own function using Lambda in this work. Right, so we'll just type equals, Lambda. So we have Lambda. I'll select my Lambda, and now we have parameter or calculation. So we know that the parameter we are looking for, the parameters here are sales price and cost. So we have sales unit, sales price per unit, and then cost per unit. So let us make our life easy. So we have sales. So what this is how the Lambda formula works. So we'll write our sales, have our price, and then we also have cost. Now, all right. Now, what do you want to do with these three? We are calculating our profit. So it is going to be multiplied by the price minus, then we'll subtract our sales multiplied by our costs. All right, so we'll close the parentheses. Now, this is our formula, lambda formula defined for us. Then we can go ahead and test if the formula works. So to test the formula, we'll open another bracket and then put our values within that bracket. So we have our sales unit selected, we have our price per unit selected, comma, and then we also have our cost per unit selected. Since we have defined those, you just have to select them, close the parentheses, and hit enter. Now, the lambda function correctly calculates our formula for us. So we'll just copy it down by double clicking here. Great. So this is our lambda formula, giving us the same value we got for our profit calculation. And then that is it. So this is how the lambda formula works. But the most exciting part of the most exciting thing about the lambda formula is that we can actually define a name for it. So what we can do that by going to the formulas tab on the ribbon, and then we go to name manager. So we click on name manager and then we go to new. So what name do we want to give to our lambda formula? We want to give it profit. Okay, then we want to use it for the workbook, not the worksheet. So the workbook, and then a comment, calculate. Let us give a comment as so you can say calculate the profit of the sales person. Okay, then what is our reference? What is the formula referring to? So yeah, the formula is referring to s equals lambda. So we can actually come here, uh, equals lambda. So I'm going to copy our formula inside the refers to lambda. Then we have sales. So we have sales, we have price, we have cost, we have cost, and then comma. Then we have sales times our price, comma, minus our sales times the cost. We close our parentheses and enter. So we hit OK. Now, instead of the lambda formula, we can actually come here and write equals profit. So as soon as I start typing profit, our profit function has come. So what do we want? What is our sales value? This is our sales value. Now let's see. So just look at this. So it calculates the profit of the salesperson. So as soon as I type equals profit, anybody who sees this formula will know that the formula will calculate my profit for me based on these three values: sales units, price per unit, and then the cost per unit. Okay, so we have here, let us edit our formula. So we have our profit, and it sales. What is our sales value? What is our sales value? So our sales value is 34 here. It's actually we are doing for the second person, so 39, that is cell C5, and then this is our price per unit, and then our cost per unit. I'll close it and hit enter, and it does the same thing. I can just copy, Control D, and we are done. So this is referring to our formula. All of this refers to our formula. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. So that's the most exciting part of the Lambda formula. You can use it to define your own formula, and then after that, you give it a name, give it a description, anything you want to do with it. Now, we can also use the same Lambda formula to define our revenue and cost. So, for instance, I want to say this is my revenue column. This is my revenue column, and then this is my cost. All right, so I can just use lambda, cost lambda, and then my parameters are sales, and then also have price. So that is what defines our revenue for us. And then what we want to do is, what do we want to do with the sales and price? We want to multiply them. So sales multiplied by price. Okay, then we close our parentheses. We want to test if the formula is working. So I bring another bracket. This is our sales value. This is our price. I'll close my parentheses and hit enter. So that is my cost for me, my revenue for me. Sorry, just change this to revenue. All right, can we insert some new cells here? Okay, very good. So we have our profits. So we can do same for cost. So this is equal to lambda, and then we know that our lambda is going to be our sales and then our cost, and we want to multiply them. So sales multiplied by cost. We close our parentheses, hoping to test our formula whether it's working properly. So we have sales revenue here, and then our cost per unit right here. I'll close my parentheses and hit enter. Then we know that our profit should be equal to the difference between these two, and there we have it. Or we can use our profit function, which is equals profit equals profit, and then what is our sales unit, this, our price per unit, that, and then our cost per unit, this. So close my parentheses and hit enter. Now I can copy my formulas down, but first of all, let us define our revenue and cost formulas within the name manager. So we go to our formulas, go to the name manager, and then we have new. What will our name, the name of the formula? Very good, very good. Then we have calculate. So the comment you want is calculate the revenue of each salesperson. Right, then it is referring to equals lambda bracket open we have our sales, we have our price, and then we have our sales multiplying the price. I'll close my parentheses. Sorry, so let me, this is actually sales. So we have that, and then I can click OK. Then we can actually do the same for, but before we do that, to make it very simple, we just come here. I can just come to the cost, and then I can copy whatever I have here, so that we don't have to be repeating, wasting time writing our entire formula again. So this is our cost. We are going to our name manager, new, we want to give it a name called costs, and then say calculate the cost of each salesperson, and then we are referring to what we want to refer it to, paste our formula in there. Alright, so I hit enter, and that is it. So look at it. Seems we didn't really paste our formula very well. So let me delete the other ones. Okay, I think that's fine. So you hit OK. Alright, so we can close this, and then we can actually use our formula now. So revenue equals, what is our sales is this, and what is the price per unit is 30.9. So I'll close my parentheses and hit enter. I'll come here, equals costs, what is my sales units is that, and then what is my cost is this. I'll hit parentheses and enter. So can copy this down here. So we are getting the same value for our profits. Can copy the formulas down, Control D, and there we have it. So this is how we can use Excel to develop our own custom function and use it in Excel. This is very helpful because instead of typing a formula over and over again, you can just define your own formula, determine what it does, and then you can use it within your workbook, your entire workbook. So if I should create another worksheet, the formulas I've defined in this worksheet will apply, of course, because I selected the workbook. Alright, so thank you for watching this video. I hope you liked it, and I also encourage you to subscribe to the channel so that you can receive more videos, and then consider sharing it with your friends. Do comment and have a nice day.